Now, for more on the U.S. distancing itself from the Belgorod incursion into Russia, global affairs analyst Ejike Okpa joins me on the news. Thanks so much for joining us on the news this time. What do you think are the implications of the U.S. distancing itself from the recent incursion into Russia from Ukraine, both politically and in terms of the ongoing conflict?
Thank you for having me on the show. I think if U.S. is doing that, it's probably to share that they are not, they are not directly involved in the war, because if Russia is to prove in that might escalate, the conflict to where now it's more than both sides have been claiming. So I think what you see here is the typical war propaganda, both sides pointing fingers in order to justify whatever actions they are hoping to carry out. So the picture shows a US-made Humvee. How did it get there? Was it planted? Was it actually used in the incursion? Again, the evidence is yet to be proven, but in a typical war situation, you could bet your life that both sides are going to be making accusations in order to justify their action.
So, how does this distancing impact the U.S. stance on the ongoing Ukraine war and its support for Ukraine?
Well, I mean, U.S. has always said they don't want to have, boots on the ground. They're not going to have U.S. soldiers, they're fighting for on behalf of Ukraine, because that will escalate the war. So, and then Russia is trying everything within their own in order to prove that U.S. is actually involved. So anytime there's something that will link U.S. directly to it, U.S. is going to come out and say, no, it's not ours. And so that's what you see happening. U.S. said they will supply them with stuff. They've given them money, they've given them, arms. But, how is that helping Ukraine? You see this back and forth. I think in a recent interview that I participated in, I said it's 1 versus 7. It looks like, Putin is flexing his muscle. He's been able to stand up to 7, the G7 countries who have given all this, support to Ukraine, yet nobody has an idea when this war is going to end. So, why don't they come to some terms? There's a reason the war is on. Instead of having the rest of the world, get caught up in something that has nothing to do with 98% of the world. So, I don't know when this war is going to end. 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. If you saw the news where US said it's going to supply them F-16, but to train the Ukrainians to fly that F-16 is going to take 18 months. So 18 months from now is like 2025 or 2024 ending. So that tells the G7 and those that are supporting Ukraine that they have no end in sight. They have no idea how this is going to end. Many people are making efforts to talk to Putin. Zelensky is all over the world, dressed like some club man, going there asking for all kinds of stuff. But what we want is a peaceful world, and a peaceful world has to come from neighbors loving neighbors. And not where something that is going on between two neighbors, the whole world is drawn into it. You saw the news that some African leaders are going to go to Russia and Ukraine to go make a peace. What's that all about? You have the conflict going on between Rwanda and Congo. How many European countries have showed up to seek peace there? You have Sudan and South Sudan going on. How many people have showed interest in that? But then, Ukraine-Russian war has captivated the whole world. It's like, oh, we don't want to go to the Third World War. Why should European wars be world war? Why should Europeans' conflict be the conflict of the world? It's not the case. We are no longer in the 18th, 19th century where people are naive. If you can't love your neighbors, go ahead and implode yourself. But Africans should not be concerned with what Europeans are doing, and at the same time, they stretch their legal and meager resources, trying to go and have presence where they are not. They are even laughed at. So that's my take on war. I don't like war. If it's inevitable, then the two people involved in it, sort it out. When you're done, sorting each other out, then you can join the peaceful world, but not for everybody to be drawn into it.
Right.
I don't. The Europeans have always felt whatever conflict they have is world war. World War was the war between Europeans. World War II, war between Europeans. Why should every one of us be concerned about it? And then it's just a pure joking matter or a laughing matter for Africa to just get into it. And if you remember history, when Africa was colonized. Africa was doing what? Fighting for European side. Why were you doing that? Somebody was holding you bondage at the same time, dragging you into their own conflict. You didn't do anything. Then when the war ended, there was a Marshall Plan to rebuild Europe. So how did Africa benefit once, the World War ended? They gave them independence, which makes them become more dependent.
Absolutely.
So a time comes when you said, you know what, I'm not going to be fooled anymore. I don't see anything. What is the typical import or import from Russia and Ukraine to Africa that will warrant Africans want to go risk their neck?
Absolutely. So many issues here and there. Just like you said, no one wants to hear about war because it's definitely not a good thing. I would have asked about what diplomatic efforts you think are being made to de-escalate tensions and prevent further cross-border incidents between Ukraine and Russia. But then, because of our time, we just have to restart the conversation here. You've touched on a lot of things. Thank you so much, Global Affairs Analyst Ejike Okpa. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you for having me.